Form. And can I tell you, children, that just today in 8th grade math, we reviewed slope-intercept form, and when I mentioned it again, I got half of them with blank faces for not remembering it just the way it is. You will eventually. Now, write this down. It won't mean a whole lot to you right away, but do this kind of underneath this in big letters and kind of block it out a little bit. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. This is our the general form of slope-intercept equation. Again, won't mean much to you, but we're going to talk about it in just a second. Now let's build a little bit of understanding here. Here is my equation I'm going to give you. Let's say I have y equals 2x plus 1. Now, this equation probably doesn't mean anything to you, but let's say this is what this equation stands for. Let's say your parents hired you to do some work around the house because you're lazy sloths and you won't do it without getting paid for it. And here was the deal that, I don't know, your mom came up with. She said, Billy, I'll pay you $1 no matter what plus $2 for every hour you work. To which you moaned and complained because it's far less than minimum wage and do whatever there. Okay. How much money are you going to make, Michael Bruel? Let's pretend you're Billy. How much money are you going to make?
$3.
Well, what if you work for 5 hours? You're only going to make $3?
Oh,
How much money are you going to make, Michael?
$11.
All right, what if you work for 6 hours, though?
$13.
All right, what if you work for 3 hours?
$7.
All right, what if you work for 1 hour?
$3.
What if you work for 0 hours?
$1.
Okay. There are an infinite amount of answers to this based on how many hours you work. Okay? The letter Y depends. I should really spell that right. Spell it. Y depends on how many hours you work, right? That's why the letter Y is called the dependent variable, because it depends on. And the letter X is the one that we put in. It's called the independent one, or it's our input number. Now, what we do, because there's no answer to this, you can't tell me that X equals 7, or X equals this, or X equals that. Because there's a whole bunch of answers for that, that is why we make a table. And I threw a whole bunch of numbers out at Michael, and he spit out the answers pretty quickly at me. I said, all right, Michael, you work for 0 hours. He said, I make $1. I said, you work for what, 1 hour? You said, I make $3. I worked for 2 hours. You said, I made $5. I worked for what, 10 hours? And you said, I made 21, or I can't remember what it was. 6 hours, you said you made $13, right? Can we throw all that out there? Yes? Okay. Because you cannot, children, because you cannot list every single possible combination we could do, okay, we show this using a graph, because these are coordinates to a graph, which means on my little graph here, I've got my graph that looks like this, and I plot these points. Here at 0 is 1, 1 is 3, 2 is 5, 10 is 21, and 6 is 13. But the nice thing you'll realize, when you plot all these points, what happens? They all form a nice straight line. So we connect that line, and this line is all the possible answers to our little problem of how much money Michael's going to make. Notice here, if he works 0 hours, here are my hours, 1 hour, what was this? 2 hours. If I had a 3 hours on there, how far would it be? Well, I could figure it out, and it's going to cross right up here. Well, 3 hours was $7. 5, 6, 7. This line stands for all the possible answers to this. Okay, that's why this, children, is called, guess what its name is? No. The answer, it's a straight line. This is called a linear equation. This is a linear equation because when you graph it out, it forms a nice straight line. And we've done this. You've graphed these before, right? This is nothing new. Yes, we've done this before, because right here is one answer. Yesterday's problem, there was a problem yesterday, I believe, that y equals 4/5 x plus 2. Was there not? Or minus 2? Plus 2. Minus 2? Plus 2. Plus 2, minus 2. Was it minus 2? Minus 2. Okay, and then how did you find the answer to that? Remember we made the table, I think I did it on the board. I said, well, the first thing you want to put in there is 0. This would be like saying, Michael, I'm going to give you a job, but the first thing you have to do is I'm going to take $2 away from you, and I'm going to pay you 4/5 of a dollar an hour. That's what this would kind of talk about. Can you think of an equation where this would be, you could think of a situation where you subtract 2 from it? I don't know, maybe, remember, but first thing I said you do, you always want to put 0 in your graph, because 0 makes this go away, and y is what? -2, correct? And then what number did I say you want to put in there? Remember yesterday? 5. 5 till it crosses off. Well, ladies and gentlemen, your life is about to become simpler, because all of this is coming up to this. Remember when I said y equals mx plus b? Yes, you should, because it was just 2 seconds ago. Okay. How does this look like this? You see a y here and a y there, correct? And you see an x there and an x there, yes? See where they're kind of together? Okay. You need to be able to figure out this little thing here. The letter M is this number here. M is 4/5, because that's what comes in front of the x. And that is what we call the slope of the line. Okay. The letter B is out away from the x, it's by itself. Right there, the letter B is -2, and that is what we call the Y-intercept. Okay. Let me just before we go any farther, what if my equation looked like this? Y equals 2/3 x plus 4. What is my letter M in this equation? Evan?
2/3.
And what is my letter B in this equation?
Positive 4.
Positive 4. The number in front of the x is the M. The number after the term that has the x is the what we call the letter B, which is the intercept. Okay? Because here's where your world just becomes so much easier and more fun. Okay? And here's where I'm going to use what we have right here. No longer, children, no longer do you have to waste your time making tables. Okay? You will now be able to graph using slope-intercept. Okay, and as long as the equation looks like this is what we call slope-intercept form. As long as it's solved for y, y is by itself, and you've got this stuff over here, it's slope-intercept form. Here's what you do. Step number 1. The B is what we call the y-intercept. Does anybody have any idea what the word intercept means? If by some chance some crazy people from a different country sent jets, bomber jets to the United States, President Barack Obama and the chief military people would say, we need to send out our own jets to intercept them. Nah, that doesn't mean kill. It means to either stop or cross them or meet them. Okay, the y-intercept, ladies and gentlemen, this is where, this is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, and I will show that to you here. That means this, children. I'm really getting tired of this thing here. Let me do it here, I guess. Maybe here will be better. Okay. The y-intercept is -2, you went right? We talked about M is the 4/5, and the B is -2. This -2 is where this line, when I graph this line, here at y is -2, that is going to be 1 point on that line. So I put a dot at -2 there. Did I put that dot there? Right there. Okay. Now here's step 2. From that point, from that y-intercept, use the slope to find more points. And you do that by this. The slope, if you remember, is how far up over how far over. And I know we've talked about this, but it's a good reminder here. What is the slope of my line? What's my slope? What is that fraction there? Huh? What's that fraction? Say it with me, 4/5. That means this. From this point, I go up 4 over 5. From this point, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Those are my two choices. If I go up from here 4, I can go over 5 this direction, or I can go over 5 that direction. Anybody know which one I should pick and why? Which is step 3. Look for positive or negative slope. Which means this. And we talked about slope. We've done slope before, haven't we not? Yes, we have. This is a positive slope because there's no negative in front of it. That means the car has to go uphill as it goes along. Which one of these two lines, either going this way or this way, is positive slope? Jacob?
The right one.
This one?
No.
Yes, this one, correct. Because this is the only one that gives me positive slope, this is the graph of this line right there. You only need to know the y-intercept, and you need to know the slope, and you can graph a line. You don't have to plot, just those 2 points are all you have to plot. You don't have to make a table, you don't have to do anything but those 2 things. And it'll take a little while for you to do. Let me give you a couple other equations. How about y equals negative 2/3 x plus, I don't know, 2. What you probably want to do right off the bat is identify both your slope and your y-intercept. What is my slope in this equation here? What is the number that comes in front of the x, Grace?
-2.
Negative 2/3. And what is the letter B? Eli? Plus 2. Knowing those 2 facts, you can just plot your graph really quickly. What do I start off doing? First thing I do is plot where it crosses the y-axis. Where does this line cross the y-axis? What is my y-intercept? What is my letter B? 2. So where 2 on the y-axis is, I put a point. So you're halfway done, because you got 1 point already. Then the next thing you do is you use your slope to find the next point. What is my slope? Right, it goes up to over 3. And you have to decide which way to go over. Up to over 3. It's either going to go there or over 3 this way. Those are your 2 choices. I'm either going to connect it and go like this, connect it and go like that. Which one am I choosing and why, Evan?
The negative.
This one over here, because that means this line goes downhill. Slope-intercept form. Out.
So is it going up to from the point that you're?
Yes, and that's what I see a lot of people make mistake. They go back to the origin and start doing the up to. No, you have to start with the point that you've already put down. Don't start down here at the origin. Start with that point. Good question. I should have emphasized that before I was actually thinking about it. Just slip that. Got it? So how about this one? Y equals 3x minus 4. Now people get all upset because the number in front of the x isn't a fraction, but you can make it a fraction, Michael, by putting it over 1. So watch how fast you can grasp this. First thing I do is put a dot where? Where am I going to put my first dot? Somebody help me out here. First dot is going to go where, Alexa Lutz? Huh? -4 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put my dot there. My slope is 3 over 1. My y-intercept is -4. Now what am I going to do from there? Evan?
Go up 3
And?
go over 1.
Right, up 1, 2, 3, over 1 or over 1. Which one am I going to pick? Is my dot going to be here? Is my dot going to be there? Gary?
The right side.
The right side, because that's uphill and gives me positive slope. Welcome to slope-intercept form. I still have 8th graders that are still a little confused about that. One more thing. What about this? Y equals -1/3 x plus 6. Understand this. Everybody knows my y-intercept is what? Christian, where's my y-intercept in this equation? That's my slope. 6 crosses the y-axis at 6. And this will happen on your homework, and you'll be like, what do I do? That's all the way to the top of my graph. I can't go up. Okay. You can, the top number is how far up or down. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go up. You can go down. In other words, I can go down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3 either this way or down 1 over 3 this way. Which one gives me negative slope? Anybody? Which one is the negative slope one? Christine?
The one to the left. Or, yeah, the one to the right.
This one, because it's going downhill. So this top number is just like 3 you can go left or right, 1 you can go up or down. You just got to make sure you pick the combination of one that gives you the negative slope or the positive slope based on what it is. That's for today.